Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another Indie Comics Talk. Tonight, we've got a crew of creators on to talk about the Cthulhu Invades Neverland anthology series, the Ringo-nominated anthology series, last year's Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. Ringo-nominated right now. I think today's the last day that creators can vote for it, so get out there and vote if you haven't already. But let's bring the creators in. I'm gonna start out with the man behind the curtain, Travis Gibb. Welcome, Travis.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Congrats again, though. On that nomination for.
It is so amazing. Like I never would have expected it. You and I talk a lot off air and stuff. I'm such a mainstream guy, right? Like even when you like do your picks, I look at your week. I was like, you got way more indie than me. Like I have a decent amount of indie. It's like, but you get everything. Like if it has any buzz, even the smallest buzz, you are getting it.
I have I have the ones that get no buzz too. That I'm like, I'm the buzz. I am the buzz. I say buzz, and now I'm thinking about Blake, but
right.
Who also is in this anthology.
He is, yeah. We got him 2 pages. He has privately told me a couple times he wants to write, so I had a small thing. I said I can give you 2, and we got him 2. But yeah,
which is awesome. I was like, maybe you'll bring Blake on for it, but then I saw he's got an interview right now, I think, as well.
Yeah, he's live. That's the problem. Blake, like, I think he probably feels really guilty because he can't promote because he's crazy, because he's crazy doing
everything.
His thing. But yeah, so what I was going to say, I know we got the guest, but seeing Kickstarter books, and not just mine, but others in so many in Ringo this year. I think there's like 4. Awesome. And that's just so amazing. And Jerome is letterer, for this and for Granite State Punk.
Yeah, which it's awesome to see that. And speaking of creators, that when we talked about that version of Cthulhu last year, Don was on with us. Don Nguyen, welcome in. Artist extraordinaire here, and he's back for this anthology as well.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on and being a part of this amazing project. Last year being nominated for Ringo is insane, man. And Jerome, is he going to take my messages anymore or my calls? What's up with that, man?
Here's the deal. He whispered to me he got a really good deal coming up that he hasn't announced yet. And I'm worried about whether or not I can work with him. He says he'll make room for me, but that's what they all say right at the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's how it always is, man.
Yeah. I got a letter everything for Marvel and everything for DC now. Sorry, Travis. I can't.
It's going to be a year from now. You see me ranting on YouTube. I made you, Jerome.
That's the clip right there. That's
it.
But so happy for him. And he also lettered Retro, and Ellie Wright, who also colored for us, is nominated for the colorist spot too with the Ringo. So yeah, Ringo's all around. Let's
all
get those people some
creators getting it into the Ringo Awards is fantastic. And we got 2 more creators who I haven't gotten to talk to before on the channel. So let's welcome them into the channel. We have Steph Cannon.
Hello.
You here? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's good to talk.
I'm happy to be here talking all things creative stuff. So that's good.
And Matt Knowles, welcome in.
Hey, what's going on, man? Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on the show. Going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. And the both of you created one of the stories together, right? In this anthology.
Yeah, we did Lost Girl, and we are a creative duo called In Symmetry Creations. So we do a lot of other stories together, a lot of other projects together.
Yeah.
And when so we've actually been in all of the Cthulhu Invades, but this one is the longest story that we've done in them, and this one came out really good. We're really happy with this one.
Got the upgrade this year from Travis. All right, we can do a couple more pages.
We're just happy to be a part of it no matter what. I mean, whether it's 1 page or 8 pages
Yeah.
or whatever, it's an amazing anthology. So, I mean, we promote, whether it's 2 pages or 8 pages, we're going to promote it the same way because we're just happy to be a part of it.
Got my one of my Wonderland ones behind me here.
Nice.
Yeah, I did start, Travis. I did start trying to fill in where's the yellow brick road? Is it in the back? Or
Yes.
not brick road. Sorry, I'm thinking of the Oz one, but the
Oh, yeah.
So I try to bring it to conventions. So, Matt, you said you're going to be in town. I think that's my motivation to at least stop by one day.
Let's do it now. Did you get your copy from Kickstarter last year and got the one version that was signed? So I'm probably already in that book.
You're already on there. Okay.
But pretend that I didn't
I'll
say that and pretend I didn't say it and come by again and I'll sign it twice.
Special double signed version. I think I brought it to Baltimore this last year for Don to sign.
Yeah.
There was a couple people there that were part of that. Matt Kuhn was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis, you're muted.
Are you going to Baltimore this year?
I don't think so. I was gonna. Yeah, I had a couple things that came up, and I had to pay for some extra flights and things, and so I was planning to go to Baltimore, and I was going to try to go to New York, and I don't think I'm going to go to either this year. Yeah,
It's expensive. It's a
yeah.
big expense. No
Yeah,
matter
it's
like
also
those big
expense.
cons are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like flight and hotel even by themselves, I'm like,
Yep.
I can't swing it this year, but
Yep. We went to New York Comic Con last year, so we totally understand.
I guess my big out of town one this year will have been MegaCon.
Nice.
So
Oh, nice.
That's a big one too.
yeah, I saw Travis there this year, and his whole creative team for Grand State Punk. Yeah, got to meet Jerome in person finally before we lose him to the stars.
Right.
Too big for us to get his own part of the convention center,
Yeah, I'm very sad about losing Jerome. It hasn't even happened yet.
Let's not let him know that you think it's possible to lose him. Let him think he has to work with you forever because he knows that I love his letters.
If you see pictures of me in Baltimore crying, it's because Jerome won Best Letterer, and I know it's gone. It's over.
Just start the grieving process now, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So do you blame the people who nominated him then if you lose him down the line?
Yeah, I'll probably go down a very bad spiral. And I'm looking forward to it. I haven't gone through one in a couple of years. I'm excited.
So Travis, this might be your last time on the show. I did nominate Jerome when I submitted my Ringo nominations for the fan side.
Yeah, he's the best of the best. I mean, I think Grand State Punk and Cthulhu are two examples of he is the best letter for the job. I mean, look at the various styles in Cthulhu that he stays consistent. And even when the couple of ones he's not lettering, he has such a hand in it to make sure that's special, and the graphic design of everything. In fact, I just got a Kickstarter today, and I looked at, the inside cover, and not a lot of people do the work that like a Dawn or Matt and Steph or myself would do. Like they don't put the extra work in the inside, like make it really look good, and just little things like that you don't appreciate until you see it. I just got the proof back for Broke Down. I was just like, look at all the cool stuff he puts together, with little effort, I assume, or hours of effort. He doesn't really tell me.
That is something that there have been some like mainstream indie books that have gone out, and you flip open the first page and it's just white.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I'm not.
Where is the design? I'm missing this.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of, hey, it's a 24-page comic. Here's 24 pages of comic. Goodbye. There's got to be extra stuff. Steph and I always have character bios, little things here and there, so people are getting extra. If somebody wants to have more of the story, it's there for them to be able to expand the universe.
There was one recently that's like, well, I talk about this series all the time because it's how I got the name for the channel. You Promised Me. Comics came from You Promised Me. Darkness from Damian Connolly. Well, they've got a new kind of series that he's not doing the art on, Children of the Comet, and they did like a Marvel style like breakdown of the character at the end.
That's cool.
Oh, nice.
And I love that because you don't get that in indie comics.
Right.
Like I love that, like extra creative things like you're talking about there. So it definitely, the creators and on the indie side of things really pour their heart and soul into that creative side of putting the best thing out there. So let's talk about invading Neverland, as you guys have brought Cthulhu here to the channel to invade. See what he's up to in Neverland. So I'm gonna bring the page up. You've got so many awesome creators on here. I know your big name plug that you throw out there is you got Colin Bunn on here, along with this cast of creatives that we got on the channel right now.
Right.
What made you want to pull in Colin on this particular one of them, or have you been like knocking on his door since that first one, saying, "Hey, I got this one for you. You want to?"
Well, the goal is always to get a couple of bigger names every time. You know, we want to add some bigger names every time. We want to get that taken care of. So that's our goal every single time, is get these bigger names, get them connected, get them part of it. By the way, you should refresh. I don't know what's so weird. On my screen, I have the 450 backers, and you don't. It's weird.
I opened this earlier today.
Okay. Yeah. You got me confused. I thought everything's broken. Trust me, like it's sometimes things don't take a Kickstarter.
This happened last week when I had Jonathan Hedrick on. He was like, "I have something like this on the screen. Maybe it just hasn't refreshed into the system." And then I refreshed it later, and there it was.
But Cullen's a huge Cthulhu fan. So if you follow him, if you're part of his stuff, he's a huge Cthulhu fan. So I really wanted to get him, and I wanted that. I wanted Matt and Dawn and Steph to be able to have an easier sell, right? An easier sell is, hey, are you a Colin Bunn fan? Like this helps you guys sell the book. And most of these guys have no problem working with us. We just got to figure out a way to pay their rate, and we've got to ask them way in advance, right? Colin Bunn, I asked him the minute Wonderland ended, and I didn't get anything for like 8 or 9 months, and then he gave me the full script, and it wasn't even what we discussed, but he was Colin Bunn. So what are you going to do? You just
like, I will make this work.
Make it work.
Because with your Cthulhu series, you have an overarching story,
right,
going through all of it, and you work with each of the creative teams to put that story out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for any of those people watching that don't know, it's not just like, here's a Cthulhu story about Cthulhu invading this part of Neverland, and then here's another one, and it's all disconnected, like a lot of anthology series are.
Right.
We've got nice.
Well, I can tell you that's been the biggest selling point for me. And Steph, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you're at the booth most of the time with me. I don't normally even get into who's in the book. It's the fact that Travis is the curator and that this is 60, 70 different creatives where there's a single thread that ties the entire book together. And I think that single bit sells it more than anything else, because they're like, oh, there's actually been a lot of additional work. It's not just collect a bunch of little stories from people, throw it together and call it an anthology. They're like, oh, so I can go read this. I can go get Travis's perspective on this part of the story. I can go get Don's perspective on this, but the work has been done to put it together. And if you go back to Cthulhu Invades Oz, the way that Steph and I even made it into Oz was because Travis was like, hey, I've got all these people that keep on destroying the Emerald City, and I need to find a way to build it back. So he did this one-page story, and he gave it to a bunch of people and said, I want your interpretation of what this art is. And so we got to do our interpretation. And there's like 3 or 4 different versions in there, but that just shows the level of attention, because if Travis gets 2 stories and they don't fit, he's like, I've got to go get another creator to come here and fit them together, or I have to go write it, or get David to come in and do some poetry to make the things fit. So I think that little bit helps people know their money is going to be well spent.
Absolutely.
I'm here completely by accident, so
which is hilarious. That's the total truth.
Just accidentally snuck your way in.
Yeah, I kind of did. I was somehow invited by Russell, and I thought that the original book, Cthulhu Invades Oz, was like a spin-off or something related to his series, because he also does a Cthulhu book. Cthulhu is hard to spell. And then I just was randomly in the group reading people's messages. I was like, guys, I don't think I belong here. And Travis, this is why I love him. He just involves people, man. He's like, hey, you know what? Come on board. He partnered me up with Jason Crowther, and it's just been fantastic since, or John Crowther, excuse me. And yeah, it's seriously a fun book. Even if Cullen Bunn wasn't involved in this book, the fans have really responded to this book, and the book sells itself. Like when I put it on my shelf on my table, people come up to it and they pick it up right away.
It's just like crazy.
What is this?
Gravitate towards it.
Travis knows the story, but this is why I walked up to Travis in the first place. First time I met him was this awesome Cthulhu book sitting on the table. I started flipping through it, and the next day I came back and picked up Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I did want to add one thing to Don's thing. Don, I don't think you know, but when we gave you John Crowther, that was the biggest creator that Matt and I knew. Like him doing those wrestling comics were very impressive to us.
Oh, yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows John from the wrestling comics. And when you guys told me who it was, I was like, that's insane. This is going to be so cool. Yeah. So I was very stoked and excited to be a part of it. And yeah, the book, shout out to the fans out there. You Lovecraft, Elder God, Cthulhu fans that support this project and come back to us time and time again to show us love. When I'm on the East Coast, especially on the West Coast, I feel like people are just learning about it and they pick up the book and they're super excited about it. But on the East Coast, people already have the book and they bring it to you and they ask you to sign the plate. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. The next one's coming up, and they're raring to go. So I'm glad, we're heading there. We're almost there. So if you're out there and you didn't know it's going, we got a little over a week left on this Kickstarter, right?
Yep. We got 9 days.
And 450 people already on board. So awesome to see the response to Cthulhu. People are ready for Cthulhu, and this year's covers you've got on it are fantastic as well. Etienne bringing fantastic things here.
Yeah, we so cover A's are always Etienne, cover C's are always Kyle Willis, but the one in the middle is always different. And we've got a fan favorite in the indie scene, Angela Oddly. Odling?
Yes.
Oddly, yeah, Angela Odling. I love her style. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's very, very animated seeming.
Yeah. It may even get better. In my head, there is a Tinkerbell. I just gotta find it. Like I have that Tinkerbell, I can't find it. So I keep forgetting to message her, but you may be surprised when you get the book. There may be a little Tinkerbell. I think I had her Tinkerbell, and then I asked Jerome because we did it on the first cover, but I think I did it on both.
So this was the first draft version then?
Right, yeah. I think
it's already amazing.
Unless I'm crazy, I don't know.
And Kyle's fantastic.
That looks so sick.
Yeah.
It's the one from last time.
Yeah, his hardcovers kill it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be like weirdly inconsistent because I don't have the one from the first time. I have the glow in the dark one, which I think I saw in something. That one is never all sold out completely.
Correct. Yeah, we did. We do these things called drops. So when I do updates, sometimes I'll do a drop and I'll give you some old stuff. Like I'm gonna do a drop tonight that has old prints that we have. So I've got all these prints here, old prints that you can get it for a small price. So we have a couple that will drop. But yeah. the glow in the darks are out, and they were too expensive, and they were troublesome. It's really hard to keep a good copy. So you had to have got it, made sure you didn't leave it in your car, because the glow like sticks to other books. So if you didn't have it in a bag, it'll stick to other books. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just I didn't know how to properly take care of it. Nobody told me any of these things. So we don't have a lot left.
Yeah, there it is.
Still in the bag.
Nice.
That's probably a smart maneuver with that one.
I did not know I needed to keep it in the bag, but apparently I did. And
you preemptively took care of it.
Oh, it's Travis's old business card. Well, I don't know if it's still the one you use or not, but
no, it's not the one I use. That has Dog Days on it. I don't use that one.
You don't use that one? Why not?
It's a lot funnier than it should be.
Dude, Jeremy's bringing out all the hits, man. That's so cool.
Just I'm making Travis reminisce about the bad days.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's come back to Cthulhu again though. Whoops.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about these guys' stories. They have some great stories.
Yeah, if I'm trying to remember correctly, we should have some of that down here. Yes. Wanted to bring theirs up while we talk about them. Let's see. Do we know whose comes up first?
Yeah, I'll stop you when I see one of the two.
All right.
And then I can tell you mine at the end. There's Lost Girls right there.
There we go. Yes. So let's talk about Lost Girl and what you guys wanted to do with the story, or why you guys wanted to cover this part of the world.
So one of the neat things about Lost Girl is we just wanted to be in the anthology, and we always find it a challenge when somebody's like, hey, we want you to be in here, but this is what we want you to do. And we're like, okay, well, let's learn about it and figure it out. And Travis said, I think it'd be cool for you guys to do a story about the Lost Girl. And we know exactly what Travis was saying, what he was asking for when he said that. He wants to have Lost Boys, but he wants one of the Lost Boys to be a girl. Well, Steph and I batted around some ideas, and admittedly, my knowledge of the Neverland lore was definitely lacking when it came to a lot of that. And we wanted to take that Lost Girl thought and find a way to really bring it into the Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos and really find a way to tie it in. And I can let Steph take over for a little bit there, but she really did a lot of the research and was like, I'll try not to put the words in your mouth, but she definitely got the bead on it before I did.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm a big Disney fan, so I was aware of Peter Pan lore, but I wanted to make sure that we're going back to the source material, and so that we're going back from what it needed to be based off of. And reading a little bit more about Peter Pan and Wendy and their relationship with the Lost Boys, it just made sense for us to take the story in the direction that we did. And I actually really loved as soon as it was mentioned, as soon as Travis said Lost Girl, I was like, I'm in. I think this is great. I think this is going to be really cool. And it's one of those times where you're like, I have a million ideas running through my head and I need to temper it down because otherwise it's going to get crazy. And so, Matt and I did our research, and I feel like we came up with a really, really fun story that fits perfectly in with the Cthulhu mythos.
And the great thing about it too was, as soon as we turned our script over to C.R. Florence, I don't think that we got, I think there was maybe 2 panels in a 7-page story.
It was crazy. It was like a mind meld. He just knew exactly what we needed. It was one of those times where like, the artist just turned in something that's perfect.
Yeah. It was like 2 panels out of 7 pages. We had to have any kind of correction or look at different options. He crushed it. Sean Baggs, who did the colors, crushed it. We know Jerome is going to crush it because Jerome is now, this will be the 5th different story for an Orange Cone anthology or an Orange Cone book that we've been able to put out there, because we did 2 different stories in Holiday Spirits. We did Holiday Spirits 2 and then the Holiday Spirits Christmas and July Summer Special. So we knew how to also write, and because CR's worked with them before and we've worked with them before, how to make sure there was space for Jerome to work his magic.
Yeah. How to get those Ringo nominated letters onto the page.
That's right.
There's just a level of trust and understanding when you're working with people like Jerome and CR, where you go, okay, I know it's going to be great. So we were set up from the start.
And I can tell you my favorite panel in the entire story is the very last one. Obviously, we can't show it. We couldn't put it on our Instagram because it's the spoiler of the story. But the way that Sean did the colors on that, the way it's drawn and the way the colors are on that is just absurd. We are so happy with the way that thing came out. And we're just like, wow, that's exactly what we hoped for, but we didn't know that that's what we wanted, if you catch my drift. Like, we knew we wanted to end with a bang, but the two of them knocked it out of the park with the way that the story ends. And I'm sure Travis agrees. Right, Travis?
100%. 100%. Well, one of the things that I like about Matt and Steph's writing when they do my work, which is really interesting, like it always has a superhero vibe. Like everything has like this came out of a Marvel. Even their horror story, their horror story was like and then comes Ghost Rider, and then comes right? Like it's that opening act, which I really love, like from the Knave to this. So I really love that they have that because I mean that's what I read and that's what I love. That's my heart is. So they know how to continue to let me keep getting stories from them, because they write something superhero-ish or feels like a Marvel or DC like thing.
I feel like with you having like had them on so many different anthologies and worked with them, you know what you can ask them to do and where you can put them into the book and where you can put them into the overarching story that you want to tell.
Yeah. I very rarely ask someone specifically to do something, but this was one of those cases where it's like, I need a lost girl. I felt that was important. I really wanted to do some genre, and I'll be honest, I was like, do I make a gay lost boy or do I make a lost girl? And I was just like, you know what? Let's do something that seems that let's not push it too far modern, because I think that sometimes feels weird. Not that there wouldn't be a gay lost boy. If you have a bunch of boys on an island, one of them is going to be gay. Yep. They're going to be making out. That's going to happen. But you know, I think people. When you murder it, then you have to feel bad, right? Because that's what we do Cthulhu. So if we're gonna do
Cthulhu's coming in to kill, so
exactly, you're like, hey, we want to show that you have representation, but then we killed your representation. Wait, sorry. So I was just like, hey, I really want a lost girl in this. I really want that feeling, because they hint at it in the book a little bit of why he doesn't pick girls all the time and stuff. Because Steph can tell you when you do the research for Peter Pan, it's hard because there's a original short story, then there's a play, then there's another guy who adapted the play. So not the original author, a guy adapted the play, and then there's the official adaptation by Amar. So it's
crazy.
There's a lot of material that's writing the same damn thing.
Yeah. 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 So I was like, okay, which one is the one that we go off of and which one is the one that we play off of? But I feel like we kind of there's a little bit of an amalgamation between all of the adaptations that makes sense for the story that we were telling.
And Steph is really, really good with research like that, because one of the other branches of stuff that we do, I do a lot of panel hosting and emceeing at Comic-Cons. And so if I've got, say, 15 people I have to interview for that show, we'll do a Google sheet and we'll put a whole bunch of the names on there, and Steph will go through and do the initial research on that and sift through everything so that we know the stuff that's actually important. She does a really good skill with that. And so we've already done that for shows. And then when it came to this, I didn't realize how much stuff there was that needed to get sifted through. And so she was like, oh my gosh. She's like, there is so much. And she's like, I don't even know where to start. And as she kind of got into it and really was like, this is the angle we need to go on, I was like, man, if it went just from Travis to me and, hey, here's a lost girl, and Steph wasn't involved in kind of guiding that, we would not have the story that we have in the book right now.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
It's like, sit down and watch the Disney movie. And
but it's not just that. It's not just that.
Not at all.
In this one, you can get sued. Like the other ones, like it's harder to get sued. This one, so a play, when he died, he gave the rights to a playhouse for the play. Mm-hmm. So even though it would normally be public domain, because it's going to a nonprofit, they can sue you. That runs out, and that's literally open public domain in every place in the world except for America. So that makes it really complicated. And guess what? That's why there's a December 2023 release date, because that is when it is, because I don't want to mess up, because they go after people all the time.
Very careful about that.
So that's why you're going to see when it comes out and comes to you, it'll have a December 2023. We are in line with everything as far as I know.
It is public domain at the time of release.
Right.
Well, and that goes circularly back to what we talked about earlier with Travis really going the extra mile and paying attention on these anthologies. Because I don't remember if it was Oz or Wonderland, but there's a group where all the creators are to put everything together. And one of them was probably Oz, Travis, but one of them, like 50% of the posts at the beginning were just which part of this character is public domain and which part can't we use. It was probably Wonderland. This is the part of the Mad Hatter you can use. This is the part of the Hatter you can use. This is the stuff that you can't. And it was just post after post after post, making sure that people used the right stuff and did their research and didn't just go off of the most known movie that was out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's go ahead.
Oh, you go.
I said that's the biggest thing that comes with these anthologies is us sending back art. That's way too close to the Disney. It's you got to switch it. It's way too close. We gotta be very careful and protect ourselves with these things to make sure we're good. And then like specifically for this book, Peter Pan is a very different character than the Disney version. He's whimsical and fun in the Disney version, and not that he's not whimsical and fun in this book, but he's also forgetful. So he'll forget. He will join the pirate side and murder Lost Boys. They mention it. He drops Lost Boys and let them die because he doesn't know the repercussion of death because he's a child. There's a scene where he yells at a Lost Boy going, "Hey, I fed you." And he's like, "Your food's imaginary." And he's like, "There's no difference." Like for him, like he does. So he does a lot of things. And because of some of the stuff we do in the story, I spend the beginning of the book going, "This isn't your mama's Peter Pan." Understand?
Well, when Travis in our group, he put up basically, here's the 3 different acts that I want to try to accomplish with this book. And we looked at the 3 acts when he told us Lost Girl, and we're like, oh, pardon. In Act 2, he's like, Peter needs to be losing his mind. He's starting to lose his mind. And we're like, we can write that. We know how to write that. We know how to write somebody that's losing their mind over what's going on.
Did any of you read Tom Taylor's? It's like almost like a continuation of the story of Peter Pan, and I want to say it's called Neverlanders.
I've never read it, but I heard it's really good.
Yeah, and Peter Pan has definitely gone a little crazy. So I love that take on what's going on there.
Yeah, he's wild.
It fits in line with the whole Lovecraft.
There we go.
Oh, didn't have to go.
Oh, look at that. I actually haven't seen this colored at all.
Well, there it is. There's the colors.
It looks fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, we did add stripes to your shirt because we have Smeed in one other scene, and the other two other scenes, and everyone had them in stripes except for you. So I was like, we got to give him stripes.
That fits for Smeed for sure.
Yeah, that looks great.
Tell them about your story, Tom.
Yeah. So what's going on, Mr. Smee's story?
Wait a minute. I'm only the artist here. I'm interpreting John's work.
What did John make you work with?
John, I'm not going to ruin it for you guys because I think our thing is only 4 pages long. Okay. But he does a great intro where I felt like I got to play with scale and show that a little bit and show Cthulhu as this sort of just large, skulking elder god monster. But the other part too is, in reading about Smee, I didn't want to go with that Disney-esque version of just sort of a goofy,
bumbling.
Bumbling kind of like, fool, secondhand guy. Because if you read from the book, because I was reading excerpts just to sort of get a feel for the character, there was always this weird mystery about Smee and how the crew felt about him. So I thought, might as well jack him up a little bit and make him a little more stout than just schlubby. So,
got some nice muscles going there.
Yeah. So I went that route just to sort of give him, that underlying tone. And I actually haven't had a chance to see Smee in the other parts of the book yet, so I'd be curious to see how that plays out. But John wrote a fantastic script, and I hope I did it justice for him. And I think everybody's going to have a lot of fun with that one. And from where I'm sitting, that looks fantastic in terms of the color.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things that it's really funny, if you read all John and Don's work, they kind of write intros for Cthulhu. It's almost the same story every time. Never asked them to do that, but that's what they did. They kind of have their own little trilogy. They always
come into the world.
They want to do the first encounters. I don't know why. They just we want first encounters of when Cthulhu gets here every time.
Yeah, it's a great sort of gateway into the rest of the act, and I think that's why John chooses that route.
Also, looking at that incredible Captain Hook there from Etienne right below.
Yeah, that's me. So I grabbed a main character this time. I know that sounds weird because I did grab Dorothy in the first one, but the first one was due to a lack of trust of the team. I was like, Dorothy has to do this thing, and if people get mad about it, spoiler alert: Dorothy betrays Oz. She sells out Oz, and that's why Cthulhu invades. I was like, I don't want anybody else getting yelled at for that, so I'm going to take that one for the team. This one, I really, I had an idea for the hook, and this was actually supposed to just be a plot piece. About 3 people submitted to do Hook. The other 2 dropped out. They dropped out at various points. Well, let me revise. One of them dropped out. The other one, I was like, I want to give you your story, but I need Cullen Bunn to finish his, because Cullen Bunn said he's using Hook and he's Cullen Bunn, and I want him to like me.
Yeah.
so Cullen Bunn, because yeah, Cullen Bunn's never going to get you a job. He's probably not a good guy. He can write like 20 books a month. Nobody else can accomplish that. So he's probably not the best guy in Marvel to befriend. I mean, and to be fair, hey, Craig Florence, look at it.
Oh,
what's going on?
You know that guy.
CR.
When we got Cullen Bunn, he was not doing his Pokemon thing. I think Steph, Matt, and Don can all vouch for that. This is prior to I need to be in every publishing company. This is right when he was with Marvel.
Gotta catch them all, baby.
Right, and now
Get that money, man.
Yeah, once he added Marvel back into the mix, it's like he's everywhere now.
Yeah, well, we make a joke. I've made it every time it goes. You skip that part for some reason when you scan down, but there's a big logos of all the companies we've worked for.
Yeah,
it's basically the map of where Cullen Bunn has worked. I think
I'll come back to that. I know where that is. Yeah,
but so Captain Hook, what we do is in the end of the book, because we always use the book as continuity. So Peter Pan and Wendy is the continuity. We don't use the epilogue. Which also made this complicated, as Steph was pointing out. Things get complicated because not most people don't write a epilogue, years later and add like another whole chapter that really confuses things. So we don't use that. But Captain Hook gets eaten by TikTok, which is the name of the crocodile, if you're not aware. Good name for one that has a clock in his belly. He eats him, so I resurrect Captain Hook, and we see how he gets resurrected and what that looks like and what happens with good old Hook here.
Yeah, I can't help but look at the one below this and say the characters almost remind me of I almost want to say Veggie Tales a little bit. The animation style, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's like an Oni.
I love it. I love this art.
It's super good. It's super clean. I love the colors. It's really, really good. It's a lot of fun story, and I got to tell you, so Lindsay wrote that. Lindsay, I can't think of her last name. Lance, how do you pronounce? I can't read it quite. G. That does not help me at all. Lindsay it's like Lancelot or whatever. Anyways, when I felt like I was an X-Men editor. Because she literally, even though we've described it, she literally asked to use every pirate, every character, and I was like, "No, you can have these ones."
Crossover.
And then she continued to like be like, but can I have these 4? And then can I have these? Like, it was wild. I felt like I was in negotiations, and no one else has done that to me before. Most people are like, all right, I'm going to say, you said I could use this, I could use this. But I felt like an X-Men editor going like, no, you can't have all of the X-Men and X-Factor. You just can't. You cannot.
All of them need to be at this crossover.
He's like, but okay. I'm writing about the Jolly Roger, and all the pirates are in the Jolly Roger. I understand, but no.
Some are off the ship right now. They're taking a vacation, or they're dead already.
Right.
So, what were the other stories that you have in here?
Well, again, that's Cullen Bunn story right there, the Dagon. What's cool about this one compared to other Cthulhu's that we've done is we have it split up into like kind of 3. So last one we split up in 2 factions, Loyal and Madness, but we didn't really label it that way on the Kickstarter because that would be kind of a spoiler for the book. But in this one, we kind of labeled it as, Peter Pan and his friends, the pirates have their own adventures, and then we have Cthulhu's minions. This book, because we go back and forth from like Matt's story is one of those that goes back to London. It's not just doesn't stay just in Neverland. And this is the first book where we've done that. Most of the time we're in our magical world and we don't leave. This book breaks that rule, which is what makes this book fun too.
Yeah.
So we added a lot of Cthulhu characters. So we have Herbert West, if you don't know, is from The Reanimator, which is a very, very popular story. Dagon's from Ticking Clock. The one right below it is Harold Green, I believe, if you scroll down a little bit. No, Thomas Malone. Thomas Malone, it's that's Rats in the Wall. We've got the Yellow King, who we've used in all of our books. That one's consistent, and then Cthulhu. So what's cool about this is we really, and I know a lot of creators use a lot more Cthulhu mythos this time than they have. So I think people are going to be really pleasantly surprised. I think because everything's human, people are like, I want my monster, I want this thing. So they grabbed a lot more Lovecraft stuff.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely more of the non-monster side of Cthulhu.
Right, and even the stuff you get, the fairies are humanoid, mermaids are humanoid, like
no Cheshire cat in this one.
Right, no talking animals,
Right. But this vibe seems perfect for Cullen Bunn right there.
Yeah, that's Rich Woodall.
Yeah.
From Electric Black. So speaking of, you're bringing it back to the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah, we were talking about Black Caravan before. There we go. Yeah, so awesome stories waiting inside this anthology series for everyone to check out. Yeah. But this also, so I was scrolling down below before. I love the art there of Stan Yak.
Right there.
Yeah. You get Rich Dueck and Stan Yak. So you get, IDW King, Magic King, and Stan Yak. I mean, you can't beat it. Our names, the names of the people in this book are doing something. In fact, even I was talking to Matt privately. I think I was talking to Matt. If I'm not, I apologize, Matt. But I was talking about, if you scroll up a little bit, we go through the series. So we go through Oz.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay. We go through Oz and we have this list, and Matt, myself, and some of us were at the bottom of the list because we hadn't done so much stuff. And it's funny watching us creep up the list. So I have to get new people who are above us so we won't be on the top, which is really cool that we're growing as a community. So if you look at that one, Richard Rivera was the highest person I knew, Greg Jonathan. Yeah. And there, if you go to the original stuff, Matt and Steph are on there, and then you go a little bit up to Wonderland.
The other one.
Yeah. There's somewhere.
Carl, Dan, and then
I copy and paste. But yeah, us creeping up that list and adjusting the list based on what people are doing. Like we talked about earlier, John Crother was the biggest guy we knew. I when I asked Rich Rivera, I didn't even think he'd say yes. So
yeah,
it's wild just having these people.
Stacked team in here, and then a last minute addition. If I remember seeing that correctly on Twitter there.
We just added him. Yeah, he does a Tinkerbell story with a fan favorite of the book, Jesus C. Khan, or Jesus C. Khan. He did the Mad Hatter story for Wonderland. He did the alt cover that Dawn sells all day long. So here, hold on, I think I got it here.
Is
maybe.
that Marquesian you
Virgin
just
variant.
highlighted?
What's up?
Is that Marquesian you just highlighted? I couldn't see on the screen.
Yeah, Marquesian.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
keeping him by the horn, and
Not
he's
so.
teaming up with you. Remember, you know Jesus, right?
Yeah, I've got mad respect for Marquesian because he's a fellow metalhead, and he's like, "Hey, here's my top 25 extreme metal albums of this period." I'm like, "Man, you rock!" I'm like, "I do the same thing." I'm like, "Let's go, man!"
Yeah, there we go.
Wait, hold
This
on,
guy.
It just sells itself. Look
Yeah,
at
he's gonna be doing the art for that. So
Nice.
he was such a good talent. Everybody loves this guy's art. So I'm so happy to get him back in this book. Again, the only reason why he didn't have a part in it is oversight. It was we were waiting on Cullen, and he was busy at the time. But he's like, "Hey, I got a couple of weeks. I can do 5 pages." I was like, "Tinkerbell story, go!"
There's the Colin Bunn list of creative outlets.
Yeah, we talked about it. We don't think he's done Zenoscope, and we don't think he's done Red 5.
Bandabard.
Oh, and Band of Bards. You're right.
Has he had a Scout comic?
Colin, I don't know. Has he?
I have no idea.
I don't think so.
I don't know if he
don't know.
has. That,
Maybe.
and then
I don't think he
has.
has, but I guarantee you there is a Scout one in the books.
Right now, probably. He probably has a Bandabard ones we just don't know about. It's like
Right.
20 years down the line.
Yeah,
He's got it planned out. He's like, all right, this creative team popped up to start publishing things. All right, we're gonna book them down the line. I already have stories I'm writing for the next 10 to 20 years, so I can't give them anything yet.
is in
But
development.
Later. Yeah, but I mean, it's awesome. All how this has expanded year after year, and I mean the creative teams that have been there with you from the beginning have expanded on what you guys are doing. It's awesome to see that.
Thank you. I'm super proud of it. I keep doing it every year. This Kickstarter, again, it just shows you guys show up every time. It's a little bit slower than the last one, but it's Neverland versus Wonderland. Wonderland, I think, is a more popular property, but we're absolutely going to fund. We're absolutely going to beat our record for Oz. And I think when you get this book, I think it's going to be a lot of people's favorite because the story in this is deeper and more developed than we've ever done before. The teams and the creators of it, and how cool is it that we get to work with Cullen Bunn and Rich Duack and Carmeline and all these people who are doing Marvel and DC stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, actually, I think I have Rich on the channel in the end of the month or something like that.
I would help.
Blake, speaking of Blake earlier, he got him booked on the show for me.
Nice.
So shout out to Blake, who's doing an interview right now as well. Yeah, so the first time I'll have him on the channel to talk about what he's got going on. And Alex.
Well, you got to get Matt and Steph on the channel for their next Kickstarter. Their Kickstarters are always an event. They're not they're not the kind at heart. They're not a normal Kickstarter.
We've got some stuff planned for this one. That's having shows this weekend and next, and then
music
launching
and everything.
the week after that. We're like, man, I'm losing my mind.
It's on. Yep.
Love to see that. I love to see that it's not sometimes you open up a Kickstarter and you're just like, there might be a good story behind this, but I don't know. I
try
can't
to offer things that are a little more unique, and now we're getting known for those things, and so it's a challenge every time to be like, okay, what leather work are we going to have for this campaign, because we've had leather work for every other campaign, or what socks are we going to have because now people know us for socks, and it's fun. It's a fun challenge, and we want to keep that, because if people that like our stuff like those things, then we're going to keep doing them.
Yeah, I think that's something cool to be able to put out as well when you go to conventions. It's something unique you can put on the table, and people are going to say, "Oh,
it's eye-catching for people." That's what makes them kind of come over to the booth, and to be honest, it's the Cthulhu Invades stuff too.
People love seeing Cthulhu, and people love seeing we've got
Yes.
two metal albums attached to the stuff we do,
Nice.
and we've got a collectible colored vinyl, so we can go put the vinyl out there that attaches to some of the titles, and not a whole lot of people can say, hey, this is music that we've produced that's on the table with this. So we like to have a lot of different things that can expand that universe.
They were talking about Marcuson and his love for metal, and
Hell
they
yeah.
they did a metal thing with I don't even know who the artist is on here, but yeah, metal album for By the Horns, like
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's great.
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I love that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Extra things thrown in.
Matt and Steph's booth isn't a comic book booth. It's not like an art.
You might get some comics with the extra
Yeah.
stuff on the table.
They do have comics in there, but they're just to bring people to the table to get the extra merch.
Yes.
Buy some socks and we'll throw in a comic.
Right,
vendor.
basically.
Socks, shirts, we got everything, man. Like we
love it.
always say that when somebody's done reading the book and it gets put away on the shelf, that we don't want the story to disappear onto the shelf with it. We want them to be wearing the merch or being able to listen to the music. There's always some way that the universe is expanding. So if they want to go get something else, they can.
Well, and it's fun too, because we do have the people that come up to our booth and they're like, whoa, like they're overwhelmed by all of the stuff. But that gives us a talking point to talk to them and kind of explain everything and go into detail about everything. And then that's when their kind of eyes go wide and they go, oh, this is really cool. So it's a talking point at this point.
I don't know where it's probably in use right now, but the metal bookmark from last year's Cthulhu is like one of my favorite things I got. I'm probably using it, and that's why I can't find it. But yes, those right there.
Yeah, on the Kickstarter we have the set. You could buy the whole set this time, 35, and then we have we produced a red set, which is pretty cool. So it's a 3-pack red set of Cthulhu, Oz, Wonderland, Neverland. We wanted to give, because it's the end of the trilogy, give something back to some of the earlier works. I can't go back and make new comics, but I can give you a little bit of merch, trying to steal off of Matt and Steph a little bit.
You know what? But you know what? Let me tell you, that's what actually helps to propel things forward, because it's inspired by one person who's going to be inspired by the next person to raise their game. I mean, that's what we all got to do.
Well, I think I did metal bookmarks first, though, right? I beat you guys to that.
You probably beat us to the metal bookmarks. I don't know about the trading cards, because we've got like 70, 80 trading cards that we've done now.
On the first broke down, I just didn't like them.
Yeah. I think we had trading cards about the same time, because when we did the first show that you and I ever did together in 2019, I feel like we both had trading cards at the table, but I don't know if that's true.
But you've always killed it. You guys always had better quality, better design. I paid a $5 guy. It's good.
Yeah, the way you see it is, it's not. I don't know, when we see somebody else doing something in their campaign that's similar to what we've done, or we do something similar to what somebody else has done, it's like that's why we're all in this together. Because if something is successful, then why aren't you going to build upon that? It's just it's fun. It's part of the reason why I love doing comics is if something works for somebody else, then why not capitalize on that? Because somebody doesn't own one thing versus another. So it's good to see like metal bookmarks and trading cards and covers, because I just love that. I love the metal holographic look, and it's exciting to see that it's growing in popularity.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. It's like people are recognizing that you guys did something and it was a good idea, and now they want to do it.
Yeah,
bring it.
We don't own the idea, so everybody, it's
right.
More the merrier.
Like I tell you, one thing that nobody else wants to do is be Travis Gibb and try to find a way to coordinate all these people to put together these Cthulhu anthologies.
That's hard to do. Being a curator is hard to do.
More than happy to let him be the one to do that.
Yeah.
Respect the heck out of him for doing that, because I would lose my mind trying to get that many people together and make it work, while also still launching like 86 other Kickstarter campaigns at the same time. I mean, I just don't understand how you're able to keep it all organized, Travis. It's a tribute to you that you can do that.
I think it's ADD. I think.
Hey, whatever works.
I don't know if anybody knows who this is, but they're sending.
I have seen them before, so I apologize if I don't know exactly who you are, but I've seen them before in chats. So
they are. It must be a Cthulhu fan, or a Travis, or Don, or Matt, or Steph fan.
We're gonna say it's a Don fan.
I got like 4 fans, man.
Love it.
I love Don, so I don't know if you know. Don does. Oh, hey Pete, it's Peter. Peter.
Oh, hi.
Oh, okay, cool.
We all know Peter.
Yes.
So a fan / friend of all of
I
them.
thought maybe he meant he was a fan of Pete and not that it was.
So is that Pete Reset?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
So
Hi,
so
Pete.
let me tell you, if you've not met Pete Reset, if you've not talked to Pete probably goes deeper into the story and the lore of what Travis puts together for these Cthulhus more than any other person. There was one time Travis is really busy with something, and we needed to get a thought on our idea. And so Steph and I went to Pete Reset. We're like, hey, Pete, you know what Travis is trying to put together on this anthology, right? What do you think of this? And he's like, yeah, that sounds like it would work here, and kind of went through the stuff. And then Travis is like, Matt, why did you go to Pete? I mean, I'm like, because Pete knows all, man. Pete is like your encyclopedia when it comes to, he is so knowledgeable on all these things that can really pull all those really, really deep cuts together. Pete is a really good guy. So if you haven't had a chance to talk to him, you should.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's very few people like knowing me as a person. I think it helps a lot, like because I do so many things and I do too many things. And you know, in fact, that's why I'm so blessed that we have like 75% of the main people coming back over, because it helps me, because they go, Travis isn't ignoring you. He's just doing the 50 other things. He'll get to you. And it'll be random on a Thursday, like 2 months from now. Like, but you'll get your message.
Well, we feel bad because it's like, God, you've got so many other things. You're just getting bombarded by questions. You know, we don't want to nitpick and bombard you with a million other questions. You've got so many things going on. So if there's somebody else that can help out, then hey, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And people take it personal too, because we can't always bring everybody back. And so I got that. In fact, I did a big meeting last night, and someone was just like, I thought you hated me until you invited me to this. I was like, I never hated you. I was just, I have to cut people out to add more people in. It just
Can't win.
it's just logistics, man.
Yeah. I know if I message you, Travis, and you don't respond for like 2 days, it's
Right.
like if it's 2 months, either something happened to you or you have completely just like blocked all messaging because you are deep in 20 different projects. So I'm like, all right, I'll message him again, see if he's alive.
But it's the same text. It doesn't even like text is the same thing. Like I ignore text.
Yeah.
I just
you live with like 10,000 notifications on your phone at all times.
You have to sometimes for your own mental health. Otherwise, it just gets overwhelming.
My anxiety goes up when like the notifications go up. The only one that I'm okay with is email. The rest of them, I'm like, I gotta clear this notification, gotta get rid of it.
Yes, oh my gosh, I'm the same way.
And it's bad because then I forget to respond to Twitter messages sometimes, because I open Twitter, I see that there is a message, and I'm like, I can't respond to this yet, and I close Twitter, and then I lose the notification. Not on the screen anymore. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
So,
Stuff will go into like our in-sim business email, and she's like, Matt, why are there 6,000 unread emails? I'm like, 5,000 of them.
Every email. I'm one where I'm like, I have to delete an email as soon as I read him. We have like 16,000 emails.
But I'm like 5,000 of them are Kickstarter notifications from everybody sending their.
Yes.
I'm like, so I just leave it. I don't need to read that email again. I just don't want to go mess with it. I don't have time for that nonsense.
It makes my OCD just insane.
I'm pretty sure like 3/4 of my emails are Kickstarter emails, updates, and like all that stuff. And so I'm real bad at like actually looking at those emails. It's not good.
So, check emails.
Backing
on DMs now.
So hey Don, I got a question for you, man. So before we got on, you said that you were editing a picture. If you can point over your shoulder like this, can you tell us the things you were fixing on the picture behind you? I'm curious.
Here we go. Let's see. Other hand. I added this WandaVision trading card that I did of Black Panther, and then this Clockwork Orange homage that I did for Bloodline Comics, Carmilla Unbound.
Nice.
So I have some more editing to do to make this a little more up to date, but we'll get there.
Looks nice.
Thank you.
So we're coming up on the hour here, but I did want to throw this back up for a second because people can get in on this for just $12 to get a digital copy of a giant anthology with, you said 60 or so, 60, 70 creators on here.
Yeah, it's over 70.
Is that over 70 now? Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
I think it'll end up at like probably pretty close to 80 at the end.
And does this anthology you have it listed as being 200 pages?
It's 200 plus. It's going
I was going to say. I was going to say
bigger.
Yeah. Note to anybody that goes and picks up one of the Cthulhu anthologies, whatever the page count is on the campaign, it is always going to be higher, because I guarantee you that by the time the end of the campaign happens, Travis has already picked up a couple extra creators like he did with this one. So by the time you get the final book, it's always going to be more than what's originally listed. You're always going to get value for your money.
Yep. You always get bang for your buck.
And if you haven't read any of them and you want to read them all, $30, and that's going to be what, 600 plus pages of Cthulhu invading Oz, Wonderland, and Neverland.
Yeah.
That's a really great deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to keep it affordable for people to read.
And then, if you're like, I gotta touch the book, $29 for 200 plus pages, which is fantastic.
Also a steal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's one thing. Like every Orange Cone thing that comes out, it's always well priced on Kickstarter, and it's appreciated by people that back it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could get lower on the trades. I really do. But once you get that past that 200 mark, it gets a little expensive, and then we got to pay all the creators, and it sucks. Like, it sucks that I have to even pay them as little as I do. I know they're all happy to be in it. Nobody's complaining, but like, man, to do this at like a proper, like what people deserve, like this, I would have to raise like 200,000. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that on the last Creator Hangout, where some people might look at this number and go, Travis is trying to raise $30,000. That guy must be ready to go put a down payment on a yacht. $30,000 on a book like this doesn't even cover the bare minimum. And to think about all the work, I mean, this has been planned for over a year, and people have been working on this for over a year, and the amount of time and effort and insanity and mental strain just on the curation of it. $30,000 is barely even going to cover just the bare minimum. So that's a reasonable number just to get a solid book like this out there into your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis is really a professional cat wrangler.
And like you said, there's 80 creators by the end of this. And then you got to think about production costs and then paying those 80 creators. It's, yeah.
And they're
30,000 is
quality too.
Yeah,
it's not a bunch of people that are green. As you scroll down, you look at all the imagery, all the artwork, and the quality of the writing is there. It's insane how good these books are.
I mean, I don't want to. Sometimes you get anthologies and you're like, oh, this is like one good person and the rest are low. Like we don't have that. I'm not trying to bash any other anthology, because there's a lot of great anthologies out there as well, but we get top tier talent. We get really, really high end talent to do this and put it together. We've got, anybody, we try to get various different styles. So there'll be a style for everybody. And we really work really hard to make it when someone picks up the book. And I know it works too, because we have Travis collecting like the Magneto merch. We have and I don't know if Matt and Steph, do you guys have the Dr. Seuss cover for Holiday Spirits too?
I don't have it on me, but I definitely have a bunch of them that we put on our shelf. Yeah, for sure.
So what's interesting about that, and what I've learned at cons, everyone picks it up. Everyone picks it up.
Yes.
But they don't always buy it, because they go They go into it and they're like, oh, that's way too different than what the stuff. That's what I found, which is shocking, because I remember talking to Matt. I was like, man, people are picking this up like crazy. But then when I did a bigger show, I was like, oh, but they're not buying it. If they liked it, they'll buy the other cover because it's too different for mindsets.
Well, and with our title on Scout, we do Misfits Clubhouse, which is a Scoot title. And the Scoot titles all get Dr. Seuss or Calvin and Hobbes homage covers. So we have to make sure that Misfits Clubhouse is on one side of our table, and the Orange Coat anthologies are on the other. So the people don't go, oh, cool, it's a Dr. Seuss homage cover. This is a kid's book. Oh, whoa, what the heck is this Holiday Spirits? And look in there and see that. So we try to make sure that they are far apart on the table so people don't get confused that they're a part of some other weird kind of deep cut, series.
But not be the book to hand to a kid.
No. It's such a great cover.
You know what? Since we're talking about Holiday Spirits, let's make an announcement here that Matt and Steph doesn't know because it doesn't really affect them till 2024. But Holiday Spirits has been signed on by Band of Bards, and it'll be in previews next month.
Awesome.
So Holiday Spirits,
Congratulations.
with a brand new vault cover, which is amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
So we'll do brand new cover, and then assuming that it works out well, we'll have in 2024 we'll have volume 2 will be in Band of Bards, et cetera, et cetera. We'll keep rotating.
Well deserved. I remember when I first heard about Holiday Spirits, I remember even telling Matt, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this so bad, because horror is my jam. That's my thing. But when you combine horror with something that you wouldn't normally associate horror with, I'm all in. So I'm like, horror and Christmas, what do you have in mass media? It's like Black Christmas. That's pretty much it. Or like Jack Frost.
Krampus.
So it's wide open. There's so many ideas that can happen. And I was so excited that we got to be a part of this. And so that's awesome. It's well deserved for sure.
Travis, does that include any of the Christmas and July stuff?
Not in the first thing, but we're going to do that. So, our schedule for next year, we're going to put a trade out for Christmas in July. So instead of doing a Spirits Volume 4, we're going to combine you guys' stuff, some other stuff.
Oh, that's so great.
And then add some new stuff to make it a full trade. Instead of doing one in the Christmas time.
That's awesome.
Because I may have to do 2 Cthulhus next year. So we may do the new Cthulhu and the wrap-up Cthulhu, because one just requires me, so I don't need the whole so I can wrangle the whole year and do the one, and that won't be out. So we'll see. It's a big schedule, but no. So that's Christmas in July. But assuming that Holiday Spirits does well, I don't see why we wouldn't skip it ahead to get it out sooner. Right? Here's the July issue, to get it before Volume 2.
I don't know if you guys have seen the Christmas in Julys, but the first one that they did a story about Santa Claus and what he does in the 11 months outside of December. And when Jerome came to us and asked us to do a story for Christmas in July 2, we said we wanted to go the complete opposite direction and do Krampus, but the story starts off with Krampus reading last year's issue. And he's looking at the story about Santa Claus saying, well, it must be nice that you get to get worshipped and all this in these other 11 months. And we turned Krampus into this complete sad sack that can't even go into the grocery store and get his favorite sugary cereal because all the old ladies are freaking out that he's there. And we had Jose Calderon that did Jose Calderas who did the art and just killed it. It is one of the best, funniest sets of art we have ever had, whether it be in an anthology or our stories ever. The art, I remember when we first got back the first set of art, Steph was laughing hysterically at the cereal aisle that he put Krampus in, because instead of corn pops, there's like corn poops, and just every cereal box we changed the name of every cereal box to something that sounded very Krampusy. It was just unreal.
It's so great when you have an artist and you give them direction and they take it even better than what you imagined. It's the best, one of the best feelings as a comic creator is to see that the artist has your vision and they find a way to improve it. And that's exactly what he did.
That's awesome. I love taking these stories and just completely twisting on their head, adding humor into a horror story.
Yeah, it's hard to do, but it's fun.
Before we wrap up, you guys, I know Matt and Steph, you said you've got a Kickstarter launching soon as well next week.
Right? The 28th. The 28th.
Okay, so end of the month. Want to talk about it just briefly, just a plug for people to go run.
Sure. Do you want to start it, Steph, or you want me to?
It's a spinoff from Heirs of Isildur, which is our steampunk time travel series that we are doing, and this is focusing on one of the characters. So with Heirs of Isildur, it's all about characters who are We say it's time travel in reverse. It's characters from other times and eras that are being brought in through portals to our main character in the story. This is taking one of those characters and learning about what happened to him before he went through that portal. And we really wanted to do it because it's a different setting. It's a different type of story. It is, as we describe, it is fantasy horror in a fictional Far East setting. So it's not necessarily feudal Japan or China. It's our own interpretation of a Far East setting.
Yeah, we always say it's Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur meets Mad Max.
Yeah.
We've been putting out a bunch of small little video clips for it. There is a theme song called Spiral into Madness that I wrote that we've got a lyric video, and the song will be released. Both will be released before the campaign launches. Travis has heard the music that we do before. It is brutal. It sounds like, imagine an opera and an angry bear mixed with a machine gun thrown in a blender. It is extreme symphonic metal. And we had a lot of fun with it. Made sure to put a lot of Far East instrumentation in there. I'm a big fan of Wagaki Band, Black Kirin, a lot of bands from that part of the world. So we tried to make sure there was some instrumentation in there along with the blast beats. But it's a great fun project. It's 80 pages, I believe, is what the book is going to end up being as a one shot. But it's crazy the kind of stuff we get to do in there. We really love the way the characters are put together in there. We cannot wait for people to be able to see what we're doing in this campaign and be able to hear the music and see the story.
Awesome. Don, you got anything coming up right now?
I'm working on Pablo #2. What's out right now is Carmilla Unbound just dropped, so I have some copies of that. I'm hawking Retro and Battle Grapple Rebel, and Upper Deck WandaVision is out. I have another set that they haven't announced yet that I'm a part of from Marvel Upper Deck, but I don't think they're going to announce until probably next year. And then if anybody out there, if you're in the Portland area, I will be at Rose City Comic-Con September 22nd through the 24th. I have a panel on Sunday where you get to draw cosplayers doing life drawing. And then I will be a guest at LA Comic-Con December 1st through the 3rd. And I believe that's the rest of my schedule.
What? You've only got 2 more shows this year with all the traveling you do? I thought you were going to have another 10 or 12 more.
No. I try to limit my shows to about no more than 10 a year. So this year I think there's been 8.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah, I will be at New Orleans Comic-Con this coming weekend. I'll be leaving in 2 days. And then Steph and I will be at GeekCon in Shreveport, Louisiana the following weekend. Last year we hosted panels, but we also hosted their cosplay contest. And one thing about that show, their cosplay contest is ridiculous. They have so many people to go. And I was very blown away by how many people were involved in that. But they really liked what we did with their cosplay contest last year, so they're bringing us back to run it again this year. Nice. And then we've got a bunch of other shows that we'll be doing, but the most important thing for us after that is the Kickstarter at tinyurl.com/IamKido, which is IAMQIDO. It'll be launching on the 28th.
Travis has got nothing else coming up, right? No other Kickstarters, like not 20 more this year.
0.
What's coming up after Cthulhu?
September 5th, I will have another Kickstarter called Hospice. I can't really tell you anything about it, but you may have been seeing some spoilers. I'm not alone in this. I'm going to break Kickstarter. I've done some stuff that I needed to get special permission from Kickstarter. I'm hoping it's going to be a big deal. So we'll see what that is. So keep your eyes out. But yeah, 6 people are making a book called Hospice all at the same time, come out about the same time. It's going to be wild. So that's doing that. Then I'm going to be at Baltimore. I'm going to be at Granite State Con. So those are my 2 September shows. And then I may be at this Fanboy. We have a Fanboy one in Orlando at the end of the month. Someone invited me out to that. So I may even do that one. So we'll see that. But I did have one more thing that I was going to announce here that we didn't quite get to because of we're lovely people. We kept talking. I'm about to do a post. So if you didn't know, if you buy a box set on it, our friend Russell, because Russell is one of the best people in the world, if you're not aware, Russell Noelty is going to give you a free Ichabod Volume 1.
What?
So anybody who gets the box set will get a free Ichabod Volume 1. So if you order the box set, you're now going to get an extra trade for absolutely free. Nothing. So any of the box sets. So there's like a couple of different box sets there. There's one, the 165. There's
bigger one there. And
that's the upgrade with the hardcover, and then if you go a little further down, there's like the full trilogy box sets. They're right there. So if you get any of those box sets, you're going to get an absolutely free trade at no cost. Russell is donating to them for this campaign because he really wants to add something else. So I'm about to add that.
So that's crazy because Russell also only does hardcovers, right? So it's going to be the hardcover version.
I don't know if there's a soft cover or not of Ichabod. I don't know. I own Ichabod in digital. I don't own it in physical, so I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the early version because if it's the early version, he might have some of the paperback stuff, but generally he only does hardcovers.
Yeah, he does.
And see what he sent your way.
I don't know where it is. I have too many things on my shelf.
But yeah, so if you get a box set, you're going to get a free trade, which makes that value of that even better. So yeah, so
there it is. Yeah, it's the hardcover.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's insane.
So that'll be announced.
$30 value.
Yep.
That it shows up, it won't. Oh well.
So that's a very cool thing. I'm going to be announcing that in just a little bit. And again, it's just Russell who really loves the people he works with. And Russell's a great guy. I wish Facebook didn't ban him so he spends all his time on Substack and could come back and talk to us now and then.
Yeah, that whole thing was weird.
It is, but
that's Facebook for you.
That's all I got.
Facebook.
But we also got Granite State, to answer the rest of your question, then before the end of the year, we got Holiday Spirits 3, Granite State Punk 3, Voodoo Nations 4. Yeah.
There's not that many months, Travis.
I know. One of them will probably have to be pushed off, and I'll be sad, but it is what it is. But yeah, I have 5 books and basically 4 months to do it. We'll see how it happens.
You got this.
I got this.
Well, thanks everyone for coming on, talking Cthulhu.
Jared, thanks for having us
on the
Absolutely
Ringo nomination for last year's Cthulhu. Hopefully we hear some good news in September about a win. Rooting for you guys. But thanks everyone
for Jerome
hanging out and watching. Yeah, Jerome. Hopefully we hear best letterer.
Yeah,
Ringo winning letterer, and then he runs away from Travis forever. And no, I really hope because we need his letters because they're amazing.
It's true. It will be worse if then I'll have to work with like Joel. Like nobody wants that.
Oh man.
Or Justin Birch, like what's gonna happen? Like
Travis, I've already worked with Joel before. I've worked with Joel. I don't need to work with him again.
Justin's nominated.
Get a letterers to fight over me, Micah. Like, do you think if Jerome lets me go, I could get letters to fight, or is this gonna be just like? No, this is finally his downfall. We'll get Travis out of the Kickstarter, more money for everybody else. Like it's gonna go one of the two ways.
He's my interim contact to get to you. When I can't reach you, I just reach out to him. So it's gonna be tough if he wins, man.
It's true. I reply to 2 people. It's Jerome and my wife. Those are the 2 people who I reply to every time. It's Jerome and my wife. So if you want to talk to me, really talk to either one of those people and send the message.
So next time we don't hear from you, send them a message.
Right. Whichever one you want, whichever one you have a better relationship with, just message them and say, hey, I can talk to them.
Well, thanks again. Thanks everyone who's watching this. Go back. Cthulhu Invades Neverland. Starter left. 9 days left.
9
See
days
you guys.
left. Peter and Craig too. If we pop it in.
Yes, Peter and Craig. Thank you.
Absolutely. We will let you guys. I don't have anything scheduled next week, but I might if people respond to me on something. But if not, I'll be 2 weeks with another interview coming up. Have a nice night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.